You can think of it as like a King's Court, Game of Thrones. You can think of it as like a great novel, but they're really interesting characters, and the way they relate is interesting. And of course, in this administration, it all revolves around Donald Trump. So I asked a half dozen lobbyists, some Democrats, some Republicans, mostly with big ties to Trump 2.0, what's the culture like? What's significant? What do they tell their clients about how to navigate? And their clients extend from some of the biggest corporations in America, nonprofits, foreign governments. Everybody wants to know, how do you succeed in Trump 2.0? Where do you go? What are the rules of the road to try to understand it? And think of it as a novel or a great movie about Trump's Washington. Who are the big characters? What are the big plots? What are the great scenes that are taking place every day? And these things are almost all happening behind the scenes. They're not happening in front of the camera. So what these lobbyists did is it kind of took me inside. First of all, it's one of my favorites, the weave, right? Donald Trump likes to talk about how he's a great speaker, and he'll talk in a speech and he'll go point A and then point R and then back to point F. Doesn't seem to make any sense, but in his view, he weaves it all together. When you're listening to him give an hour-long speech, you might be doing Wordle, you might be, watching some other screen, cooking dinner. Maybe you're not totally focused, and you don't have to be, because Trump doesn't see you not paying attention. What the lobbyists tell me is if your client goes in the Oval Office, he or she is going to be subjected to the weave almost invariably. Sometimes one-on-one with Donald Trump and the CEO, sometimes other people in the room, but invariably the weave will occur. And if you're a normal person who's not used to the weave, it's a little disconcerting to be sitting with the President of the United States while he's talking about golf and then Macron and then the prices at Mar-a-Lago and then gossip about some member of Congress. You got to get in the spirit of the weave, because if you're in there and you get confused or act confused or ask a question and interrupt the weave because you want to show you're interested, bad. You got to be in the rhythm of the weave, and you have to follow it as best you can, and you got to look like you're following it. That's good advice. Then similar, if you go on Fox, which the president watches regularly, or any other cable channel that Donald Trump's watching, you got to say the right things, but you also have to look great. If you don't look great, the president, that's all he'll focus on. So you got to say the right things and you got to look great. And if you go to meet with the president, same thing. You got to dress the part. If you're a man, you have to wear the nicest possible shoes. Do not go in the Oval Office with Donald Trump with scuffed shoes or cheap shoes. And if you're not wearing the right kind of classic collar, go buy a new shirt. He does not want to see a spread collar. Doesn't like it. So get it. Sometimes if the lobbyists say, if the client comes into town and they're not wearing the right shoes and the right shirt, they'll rush them over to a fancy store and buy the right stuff.